About 4 months ago, early spring, here in the mountains of North Idaho on our homestead, Liz and I planted our very first garden. As you can see behind me, it is doing really well. So in today's video, I wanted to give you my tips for the 4 easiest crops to grow for any beginner gardener. Every plant or crop that you guys are going to see in today's video was started directly from seed, and 90% of that was planted straight in the ground outside. We did start a few things in the greenhouse, but really, guys, like most of the garden was started outside by literally taking my pinky and poking the seed directly in the ground. And keep in mind, these 4 crops are in no particular order. As you can see, the corn right behind me is doing really good, so let's start with that. Liz and I have never grown corn before, so we figured, hey, let's try it. So this is our first year of corn, and as you can see, the corn has really taken off, guys. It is taller than the greenhouse. The greenhouse at its highest point is about 10 feet tall. The corn easily surpasses it, so I think we have about 12-foot stalks on some of the best growing corn. And as you can see, all along the outers of the garden here, we did corn as well. We actually planted this way later, guys, and that is a testament to show how fast that this corn really grows. This corn was planted, man, less than 2 months ago. It's already over 4 feet tall. We have ears of corn growing on the new stuff, and we have ears of corn growing on the old stuff here. Right there, we got some up top. It's pretty amazing to see how fast this corn grows. And after just a bit of research, I've learned that corn is a very fast growing type of plant, and it's really easy to grow, guys. So it's mostly a self-pollinating crop. So what happens is the tassels up on top form pollen, and that pollen falls down into the leaves here. So we need to get pollen inside that little crack. And we didn't do any pollinating by hand. We just let nature take its course, and we had no issues whatsoever, growing ears of corn. We've already picked quite a bit of it. Some of these bigger ears here, we're going to let those go because we're going to be collecting the seed from them. So what we need to do there is kind of let the corn go for a little while, and then we'll cut the whole stalk down, let the ear dry out, and all those kernels inside on that cob, they're going to dry out really well, and that's going to let us harvest the seed so we can use this exact same corn for next year's crop. A lot of what we're trying to do here is start heirloom plants, heirloom crops, whether it's tomatoes or peas or beans or corn. We're trying to not have to buy seeds ever again by harvesting the seeds here. So anybody starting a garden that may be skeptical about doing corn, I'm telling you guys, some of these seeds were just from Amazon. Literally took my pinky, poked them in the ground, watered them every day, turned into 12-foot corn that we are eating off of. So corn is probably one of the easiest crops to grow, in my opinion. Let's take a quick break from that, and I wanted to let you guys know about today's sponsor of this video, and that's Harry's. Tired of dull razors and overpriced grooming products? Well, look no further, because with Harry's, you get top quality razors at a fraction of the price delivered right to your door. I've been using Harry's, and I'm seriously impressed. The precision engineered blades give me a smooth, comfortable shave every time. But it's not just about the razors. Harry's has a complete grooming lineup from face wash to post-shave balm. It's almost like having a personal barber right there in your bathroom. My favorite part about Harry's is their direct-to-consumer prices. Built in their German factory, they have the unique ability to build a quality product while keeping prices extremely fair. You guys can check out Harry's for just $5, which is a killer deal. It's normally a $13 value, but if you click the link down in the description or go to this website, you're gonna get the whole starter kit for just $5. So that is a great deal. I wanna thank Harry's for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to work. All right, guys, so right behind me here, actually right next to the corn, is our next crop that I thought was super easy to grow and extremely rewarding. And that is snap peas. And they've actually kind of ran their cycle. You can see they're getting just a little brown. That's because we're coming into the end of summer, the end of their growing season. The days are getting shorter, the nights are getting cooler. So they're kind of starting to taper off. And like I said, this was one of the most rewarding crops to grow this year, because you could come out every morning for breakfast and pick your breakfast. We started harvesting peas off of this months ago, guys. We've been eating these peas for probably 2 months now, and it's super easy. You just set up a trellis system. So we just use chicken wire for the peas to grow up. We didn't have to train them. We didn't have to do anything other than put the seed in the ground and water it. And it's pretty amazing. I have learned throughout the year that there are 2 types of peas. Snap peas that you can kind of just eat. And I'm not quite sure what the other kind is, but it's more of a stringy type pea where you would want to shell the pea and take the peas out of it, where these guys here, you can just eat them. The shell is not stringy whatsoever. So if you know what the other kind of pea is, maybe it's called a snow pea, leave it down in the comments below. As you can see, we did a whole bed of peas here. Like I said, they are kind of running their course, but such a rewarding crop to grow because they blossom and start to grow peas so early in the season. A lot of this other stuff you have to wait until basically right now when you start to harvest everything, but not the peas. They start growing immediately, guys. So anybody that is starting a garden, I would highly recommend you plant some sort of snap pea as a start because it is a very rewarding crop to grow. It's a very easy crop to grow. We did not do much other than build the trellis and water this, guys. Peas are definitely in my top 4 crops of what you should be growing in your garden. And what goes hand in hand with peas is going to be this bed right here behind me. You can hardly even tell that that's a bed, guys, because it is so overgrown. And that is a bed of green beans. Let's see if we can find some good green beans in here. Same thing with everything else over here, guys. We planted these directly from seed. These are green beans. We did strings for a trellis system. And guys, this has got to be one of the easiest plants to grow. It grows like a weed. It is such a fast growing plant. It's right up there with corn. It's a very easy plant to grow. They do drink a lot of water, but as long as you water it, they're going to do just fine. Liz and I have harvested 2 different crops from this year. I think we're about to get a 3rd also. We're canning all of our harvest. All of these green beans, we have canned them to preserve them. And this is a great starter plant for anybody that wants to start a garden and see immediate success. After growing the green beans, I learned that there are 2 types of green beans. There are pole green beans, which are the climbing type, or there are bush green beans, bush beans. And those are more of like just a low bush type of green bean. They both taste very, very similar. I honestly think the bush beans are a little bit better. So next year, we'll probably be growing the bush beans and maybe just do like 1 row of the climbers, maybe against the fence back here behind me. But the green beans are a really great option for anybody starting a garden. It's a staple. Everybody loves green beans with dinner. It's a great side to have. The harvest comes in a little later in the season, definitely not as early as the peas, but it's a very, it's an earlier type of harvest. Not as early as the peas, but definitely earlier than, say, like the corn or pumpkins or potatoes or anything like that. The beans, guys, just like everything else we've covered, literally the seeds were poked into the ground with my pinky. There is no gimmick to this whatsoever. We have decent soil, water it every day. It's going to grow. As long as you have decent sun, it's going to do well. The 4th easiest crop to grow for any beginner gardener, and that is cucumbers. Look at this cucumber patch behind me, guys. It's covered the entire bed. So cucumbers can grow one of 2 ways. You can either grow them flat on the ground like we did, or you could trellis it. I think next year we'll probably try to trellis it, but this year we just let them go on the ground right here, and it's a super easy growing plant. Just poke the seeds in the ground, water it every day, and you're going to be harvesting cucumbers. And this is similar to the peas and the beans. You're getting an early harvest out of the cucumbers. We were harvesting cucumbers a month ago, and we either eat them in a salad fresh right then and there, or we throw them in a pickle brine, let them sit for a few weeks, and then we have pickles, fresh pickles right from our garden. The nice thing about the cucumbers is once they start to go, they really take off. And I've noticed this with a lot of these low growing, really broad leaf plants, you know, the cucumbers, the zucchini, the squash, the pumpkins, they're all a similar type of plant. And once they really establish themselves, guys, it's like a weed. You cannot get rid of it. It's a very healthy plant. It's a very strong growing plant. Since it's such a big leaf and a big plant, it shades out all of the weeds, so you don't have to weed the bed, anything like that. And like I said, you're harvesting your crop very early in the season compared to some of these other crops, like the corn. You know, we got to let the corn go for a long time. Whereas the cucumbers, we're harvesting these, you know, a month ago. Look, we even have one over here that needs to be harvested. Those 4 crops, corn, peas, green beans, and cucumbers, those are some of the easiest plants that I have found to grow for any beginner gardener. And I figured we might as well talk about some of the crops that are harder to grow, because maybe you want to avoid those in the beginning. We'll start out with carrots. We have not had good luck with carrots, guys. They seem like they're really slow growing. Our ground is very hard, and I don't think the carrot penetrates down into the ground very well, so we have not done really good with carrots. It's been kind of a struggle. Another one is watermelons. We're really hoping we're going to be able to harvest some sort of watermelon, and I just don't think we get enough sun in our location to support that watermelon plant. I think a watermelon needs a lot of sun, needs a lot of water, obviously, and yeah, we've really struggled with the watermelons. Another thing that we've struggled with is the herbs, you know, such as basil or thyme or dill or oregano. We planted all of those, and it's just they didn't do quite as well as some of these, you know, main crop type of plants. It's unbelievable to see something like the corn, how fast it grows. In, you know, the basil has been planted all year long, and it just doesn't grow really well. And we've had a few types of crops in between there too that did okay, such as tomatoes or pumpkins, potatoes, kale. All of those have done okay, but they didn't grow as well as the corn, the peas, the beans, or the cucumbers. So if I was to start a garden completely from scratch again and only focus on 4 main things, it would be the corn, the peas, the beans, and the cucumbers. Because guys, they're very hardy, they're very fast growing plants, and once they're established, like, they do so well. So if you guys are considering starting a garden, please consider those crops for sure. And if you have any other really good growing plants, let me know down in the comments below. I actually have some beans to pick right behind me, so I got to get to it. Appreciate you guys watching this video, and we'll catch you in the next one.